By 2007, Melissa was working in SeaWorld for 2 years. She thought she had done everything she could have done and wanted to move on. She was about to leave Florida for another job in Las Vegas when her life took another turn. This time, she was to become a marine mammal trainer at SeaWorld.
I was actually about to move to Las Vegas because I had submitted my stuff to the dolphin habitat at I believe it's at the Mirage. And just when I had sold all of my stuff and was like days away, if even that, like maybe a day or two away from moving, my sister convinced me that I needed to go for this SeaWorld audition to be a trainer. So I submitted my resume. First, you have to submit a resume. And they get thousands and thousands of resumes every year to be an animal trainer there. So I was waiting. I had convinced myself that like SeaWorld probably wouldn't hire me, but I went anyway for the swim test when I got invited to one finally.
Her work would involve dealing with killer whales and dolphins. It did not turn out to be an easy transition. Melissa had to work every single inch of the way.
I went to the YMCA every single day, spent hours there practicing all the different things that I knew were going to be a part of what was going to be required. It's not like you literally just jump in with the animals the day you're hired. That can take weeks, months, or years for killer whales to do the big behaviors with them, such as jumping off the tip of their nose. That is called a rostrum. So I would have to say that a lot of work goes into training these animals, and the shows are a great time where we get to show off all the hard work and dedication that goes into building a relationship and the bond with each animal. It really is about your own progression and how much you prove yourself, and then depending on how long you've worked there. The hours there are anything you can think of. There's no such thing as working 9 to 5 with animals. The shifts could be anything from, sometimes I would go in as early as be there at 3 a.m., leave maybe around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The most impact I had was definitely with the killer whales. My time there ranged from about 2007 to 2009, and then from about 2009 to about 2010 or 11. The reason why killer whales had a little bit more of an impact is it's probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. It's very, very structured. It's very disciplined. The animals there are so extremely important, and they are the mascots of SeaWorld, and they are majestic and beautiful, and they are everything their name says they are. They're killer whales. I was in charge of things such as playtimes and coming up with new ways to stimulate them mentally, and I did everything from bringing instruments to water safe paints that could be on the outside of the glass so we could paint little things for them on the outside of the glass for them to watch, to mirrors and didgeridoos and driving the golf cart around and showing them balloons and doing bubbles and all kinds of things for them. The babies were just so much fun to work with. So those were some great times that I had doing the shows and having those personal times after shows to meet with all the guests. I really loved dolphins. They are still my favorite animal ever. I feel like I have a connection with them. I can tell them apart. I can meet any dolphin at any time, and I can always remember them by their face, and they amaze me.
Finally, in 2010, after 4 years in SeaWorld, she decided to head out to yet another adventure. This time, she wanted to become what she always wanted to be deep down in her heart, a mermaid.
I got my actual tail, I think, in 2008. From there, it's led to several other tails that I've been able to use, and I currently own 2 right now. I've got more on the way. I tend to upgrade a lot. I also like changing up the colors and the patterns and different things like that.
Luckily, the progression to become a modern-day creature of the myth was not as difficult as her previous roles, although there was no less planning and designing she put into it.
When I finally got to the point where I was designing my own tail, the color originally wasn't easy because there's so many beautiful colors that you can have as a mermaid tail, and no matter what color you pick, it's almost any color would look great. The tail maker that I was working with at the time, he actually had a tail that wasn't even made for me, but it fit me so perfectly that became like the tail I was known for. It's sort of like a peachish pink color tail. It was done by the Mer tailor, and I fell in love with that tail. So that's where most of my first professional pictures and video was taken, is in that tail, because it fit me like a glove. That one always has a special place in my heart. I never owned that one, but that was the first one that I used, and it's still, I have some amazing pictures from that.
As she transitioned from a mere mortal to a fairy tale creature, the popularity of her ever-increasing online video library soared as well. She perfected her motions and decided to swim upstream from Florida to South Carolina.
The reason why I decided to leave that field is because I think that everybody has a different path in life and what you're supposed to pursue, and you can live more than one dream. You can learn from one job and then perfect that skill and then move on to another. So I think in my lifetime, I just want to be able to say that I've worked with a lot of different animals, and there's a lot of other dreams that I have that I'd like to accomplish, and you only have one life to live, so you have to make the most of it. Get as much experience as you can, and if it feels like you're meant to do more, then move on and pursue the other things that are driving you in life.
2011 saw Melissa spending her time in Ripley's aquarium as a professional mermaid. She has been entertaining visitors there several hours a day, 7 days a week for the whole summer of 2011.
I decided to go back into the entertainment field, so I kept my job at SeaWorld pearl diving as a free diver. I decided to take a leave of absence, and that's where I'm at now, is I'm in South Carolina, currently working with Ripley's Aquarium and still employed by SeaWorld, but I'm just currently under contract with Ripley's and working as a full-time mermaid here 7 days a week for about 4 months.
Today, Melissa has her own aquatic entertainment company, Mermaid Melisa LLC. She's a professional mermaid for hire, willing to perform anywhere in the world.
As far as where I see myself with other aquariums, I am open-minded to working with any aquarium that is willing to have a mermaid. I hope I get to travel overseas more. I've been all over the world, and to be able to go overseas as a mermaid would be incredible. So I know that I will continue to work for SeaWorld. I will continue to do projects with Ripley's in the future. Even after I'm done, I will be staying with them and continuing to work with them even at their other locations.
This is a life that involves danger and hazard too. Sinus and ear infections are not uncommon in her line of work, and sometimes her very life is on the line.
One time I was out filming in the ocean, and I ran into thousands of little baby thimble jellyfish, and that was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. It felt like I was being electrocuted, but I later found out the next day, because I didn't have markings my first day, but the next day I woke up and was covered in little tiny stingers, because they release little tiny poisonous barbs that actually still remain stinging and can keep stinging and be active on clothes and bathing suits up until 6 months. I was probably out for about 2 weeks of work, and it took probably about 3 weeks for it to fully heal. So anyone who goes out in the ocean, just be prepared for unseen tiny little microscopic creatures that can be out there that you need to protect yourself from. It's not easy being a mermaid, but no one said it was.
Despite the danger, fame and recognition is now following her, as she has recently been featured in the FAE magazine on its cover and has agreed to become a guest columnist in the Mermaid and Mythology magazine. She has also been interviewed in radio talk shows, featured in magazines and newspaper articles and websites. Being a creature of the deep, Melissa believes she has a duty to help protect the very environment that makes her feel at home. Not surprisingly, her shows and interviews and video clips all spread the same message. Let's save our oceans before all creatures become mythical. It's a message she holds to her core and conveys to everyone.
One of the programs that I reached out to was actingoutlaws.org. I also try to use recyclable items. Always try to join forces with anyone who is looking out for the environment in the same way that I am. So I made sure that I got my current business cards out of a 100% recyclable material that is biodegradable and eco-friendly. That's waterproofcards.com, and those are the type of people that I want to collaborate with.
The journey has been a long one with countless hours of practice, trainings, and sheer hard work. Melissa does not believe it has yet reached its climax, and the possibilities in front of her are endless. She wants to dive deeper, explore further, and challenge herself beyond what she knows her limits today. But above all, she always remembers those who inspired her most.
I would say my dad and my sister are the biggest role models that have helped me get to where I am today, and their love and support means everything to me. They are still a huge part of my life on a daily basis.
And those who seem to be her greatest admirers.
Kids are very, very blunt. They're very honest. They tell you what they really are thinking. There's no filter, so they make it all worth it. They're just open-minded. Just getting to answer questions with them and spend time with them and hold their hands for pictures and give them high fives, and to be able to literally reach out to these children and touch their hands and hopefully touch a piece of their heart. That is just the highlight of my day. They get so excited and they truly do believe in mermaids, and that's what it's all about. It's meant to be fun and educational. I always tell them, "You're not going to forget about me, are you?" And they're like, "No." So I hope that they know that I don't forget about them either.